internally, we've got a K&S adjustable piston, which every AK needs in my opinion. And if you're suppressing it, it has to have a K&S piston, also in my opinion. After that, we went the AK Master Mount side mounted rail. And for our optic, we're running the Meprolite MCO Pro. I just started using this and I already love it. You absolutely need to check this thing out. Went with the suppressor on the end. This is my old Sandman S. I need to get a mount for my Anechoic 30L because that's a much better can, to be honest, but just a chemo system there. And that's pretty much all I have. I also have the FRT from Alpha Tactical Systems. And that's worked pretty well. So a little bit of history on this. If you're in the AK community, you probably already know this, but Riley Defense has not had the best reputation. That being said, there were some earlier iterations of this where they did some kind of crucial AK mistakes. They went with some cast parts for like the bolt, front and rear trunnion, and cast parts in AKs are just known to crack, as you know. So that was the biggest problem. There were some headspace issues and some of them grenading in the past, allegedly. I haven't personally seen it, but I have heard the tales. Now, this new iteration is all forged front and rear trunnions, and the bolt, that seems to be the route they've gone, which I think was a really good choice. So the question really is, do we now have a trustworthy and decently affordable 100% American AK? So with this being a 100% American AK, there's another little factor that I would love to discuss, and that is Mark 1 ammo. I want to thank Mark 1 Ammo for sponsoring this video and sending me all this 7.62x39 so I could test out this Riley. Now here's what's important about this. This is brass cased 7.62x39 with very good accuracy, I might add. And on top of that, it is American made and everything. So you don't gotta worry about tariffs, import bans, any of that nonsense. You have now got 7.62x39 brass case that's not going anywhere. And you're probably thinking now, it's probably crapping expensive. Well, these are actually cheaper than steel case at the moment. So if you're an AK guy or you're on the M10X, things like that, the Mark 1 ammo is going to be your go-to. And we'll look at the accuracy a little later in the video. Reliability. Now it's an AK, so really the main thing they've got is reliability. Ergonomics isn't even a discussion, it's an AK. Accuracy, depends on where you get it from, but there's not a huge range. But reliability is their one thing. So far I've put about 800 rounds through it, mostly Mark 1 munitions, put some steel as well just to check it out. And as you can see, one thing concerning reliability that is going to be important to note, and that is that this thing absolutely does not like PMags for AKs. I don't know what the deal is, but it seems to get stuck a little bit on the bolt. No other mag I've used has had issues except for the PMags. So I don't know what that's all about. Maybe I could file something down and fix it. But my other AKs can run PMags fine. It does not like those. That being said, we ran this with and without a suppressor, with and without the K&S adjustable piston to make sure you know what the actual factory conditions are. And we really haven't had any problems. It's run really well so far. And I'm really impressed with it. It shoots quite well. We haven't looked at accuracy yet, which we'll talk about later in the video, but reliability, this is so far doing what an AK should do. So accuracy, now that's going to be where your AKs usually lose some. So as you can see, what we did is we actually turned this into a little like poor man, peasant, homo Dragunov, because I wanted to try to eliminate some of the details. When someone tests accuracy with iron sights, they're like, yeah, it's a 10 MOA gun. I'm like, well, there's a lot of variables. So we put a 1:16 power first focal plane scope. I kind of just balanced it on the table best I could. And we seem to have got the grouping here, which looks to be about maybe 2.5 MOA. Get a decent amount of wind, and I was only propped up on like a camera bag. But 2.5 MOA, maybe 3 if you want to be safe, is really not bad for an AK, especially one that's not Russian import and all that crap. Accuracy, no problems there. In the AK world, 2 to 3 MOA is more than sufficient, in my opinion. Recoil and the gas system. So you wouldn't think that would make much of a difference being an AK. It's long stroke piston, it's the same size bolt, it's the same size barrel. What could go wrong? What could be different? However, there's a huge difference. Now, 90% of AKs on the market are extremely overgassed. Gives them a lot of reliability, but they're all very overgassed. That's why you put those little buffers in, stuff like that, or a heavier spring. But if you add a suppressor to it, now you're so overgassed, you're probably going to do increased wear and tear. It honestly is going to tear your gun up. And it honestly, I would say, starts to feel like a 308 recoil-wise. So do yourself a favor, and if you have another AK, get a KNS piston. This one, however, you do need a KNS, don't get me wrong, especially with the suppressor. But without it, it's the first AK I've ever owned that is actually tuned correctly, right from factory. This is tuned exactly where it should be. I've needed very minimal adjustment on the KNS when shooting without a can, and I was very impressed. I have to say, it's the best tuned AK from factory I personally have ever fired. So fit and finish. As you can see here, the furniture on it is actually sweet. The rest of the finish is just a standard stinking AK, but the furniture actually looks really nice. It doesn't seem chintzy or cheap like the IO ink used to. I'm really happy with the way the bolt looks and the bolt coating. It doesn't have that kind of machined higher gloss look. They did do a good job. I don't remember what they coated it with, but I feel like fit and finish looks really well. Ergonomics pairing with that, well, it's a dadgum AK, so there's not much to tell you about that. And it's got this peasanty little plastic grip. I really need to upgrade that to a, actually, I wonder if Dai Frico will make a Kung Fu grip for it. We gotta look into that. Everyone email them. We need that from them. So the verdict on this bad boy, in my opinion, is it's not a bad AK. For under $1,000, you get a fully functional AK that's tuned right about where it should be without a suppressor, and it works quite well. It's made of quality parts. It's decently accurate, especially for the AK platform. Not a bad buy. Is there concerns about past rally defense issues? Absolutely, you can consider that. And going forward, I will let anybody know if I run into issues with this. Also, disclaimer, I did buy this myself. This is not some shilly pay-to-play type review. This is real. So I'll keep you guys posted if I have any issues. Drop a comment below of your past experiences and how your rally has performed. And farewell.